The only reason you don't have what you want in your life, whether it's relationship or success or money or status or whatever it is, peace of mind, physical fitness, is because you buy in to the narratives that your fear is telling you. And the insidious thing about fear, which is the strongest force in the world, it's the strongest energy in the world, is fear. The whole world is run on fear. That's why we're bombing the fuck out of each other, and all this chaos and misery exists in the world, is because we live in this fear-based culture and society. It's very deep and primal, right? But the problem with the average person, with most people, is that they believe the narrative that their fear tells them. And the tricky thing about fear is it tells you really rational, pragmatic, sensible narratives. It's not, most people don't experience the fear of like, oh my God, this person's going to attack me, or oh my God, this tiger is going to eat me, or whatever our primal brain was wired. Most people are reacting to really, really subtle subconscious threads of fear that appear as rational. For example, have you ever noticed that you really want something? Like you really, really desire something. And then as you start to work towards that thing, you realize how difficult it is. You realize all the steps it's going to take. You realize that it's going to require that you change as a human being. And then you decide that you don't want it anymore. These people that chase this shiny object syndrome, they might call it, or people that jump from relationship to relationship or job to job. Right? They get something they thought they wanted, or they start moving towards something they thought they wanted, or they actually start receiving something they thought they wanted, and they either lose interest in it or sabotage it. That is fear. And oftentimes it plays out in like a really reasonable thing. Like, oh, I thought I wanted this and it's not quite it. Or, yeah, you know, I really wanted to build this business, but actually what I really want, what I deeply want, is just to have kind of my normal life and my peace of mind and putt around. And the truth of the matter is that you didn't just get some new insight that you decided you didn't want that anymore, and that's like more true. The truth is you came up against your fear. You came up against the actual challenge, and you copped out. You believed your thoughts, and you rationalized a reason to give up, right? Because you didn't want to be with the heartbreak and the longing required to really go after what you want. And that's the fucked up part about this. Most people know that, like, oh yeah, of course fear is holding me back. But what they don't understand is all those rational realizations and all those reasons that you have for quitting on yourself over and over again, that's also the fear. You've just rationalized the fuck out of it. It's going to be really sensible. It's going to be like the most obvious choice. It's like, oh yeah, why don't I just quit? That makes sense. That'll be easier. That'll be a relief. And I've experienced this. You know, I've been coaching people for 6 years. I've only ever had 2 people like genuinely quit, and both happened in the same kind of pattern where they actually had resigned long before they told me that they were done. They were done in the container. And you can kind of feel it because these are the type of people, again, that set big lofty goals, that start to move towards something. And then once they get into action, they realize like, oh, maybe I don't want this. And that's very rarely true. What they really saw was like, oh my God, this is going to require a part of me coming online that I'm too scared to bring, because maybe I'm going to have to sacrifice things. Maybe I'm going to have to be different. Maybe I'm going to have more discipline. Maybe I'm going to have to show up differently in my life. And so what do? They start scanning the situation. They look at me. They look at what the work we're doing together. They're looking at the results. They look at the rest of their life. And they start to subconsciously find reasons to quit, to give up on themselves. And we all do this. Like if you've ever been in a relationship where all of a sudden every little thing in your partner becomes a problem. Like, oh, even the most subtle thing. Why? Because you're looking for an out. Because you're scared. You're scared of deepening intimacy. You're scared of what it's going to require of you to change, to shift the culture of the relationship so you guys can be in love and relate better. Or maybe you're at a job and you're like, if they do one more fucking thing here, I'm out. Like you've already quit. You've already resigned at that point. You're just looking for a confirmation from the world that will rationalize and make your reason for quitting more reasonable. So then you can let yourself off the hook and be like, no, it's not my fear. It's not my, the edge that I'm working. in terms of like what I have to confront in order to stay in this relationship or in this job, it's actually their fault. It's that thing. It's because they did this. And both of my clients that I quit, I fucking fought for. I was like, hey, listen, you're coming up against your fears, because when we come up closer to that which we desire, more fear is driven up. Because when we go after that which we desire, it's usually something that we don't have and we've never done before. And when we step into the unknown of creating something in our life that we've never had before, it's scary. It brings up a lot of fear. And the closer we get to that thing, the more fear is driven up. And so what do? We fucking change the circumstances. We become hypervigilant, so we have a really good reason to give up on ourselves. And I stood for these people and I said, hey, like, you're actually, could be the pivotal moment where everything changes for you, where you realize that you can work in partnership with your fear instead of reacting to it. Because most of y'all, and everybody else in their life, and me included, we react to the fear. We try to control, we try to clamp down, we turn away. But the worst and most insidious part of this is we rationalize it away. We rationalize our fear, and then we say, wow, we're really smart beings. We're listening to our body. We're listening to our intuition. So even though I want this thing so deeply and my heart desires this thing, I actually have a really good reason for quitting, because I just wasn't feeling it, or because it wasn't working for me. Maybe, but 99% of the time, you just don't want to be with the heartbreak and the crucible that is going from point A to point B, from that which you are and that which you have to that which you desire. So the move here is to learn how to work in partnership with our fear. And this is where getting support in your life is really, really powerful, right? Where I can take a look and being like, a month ago, I said I really wanted this. I really wanted to create this thing in my life. I really wanted this business result. I really wanted this type of relationship. I really wanted to, whatever it is for you, any project, anything that you're taking on in your life that you really want. And now I'm noticing that I don't really want this anymore. I don't think you're getting clear. And if you notice that you just all of a sudden do this 180 and you decide you don't want something anymore, it's good information. And it's worth not believing that thought completely, but rather starting to look and being like, what is it about me that doesn't want this anymore? What part of me doesn't want this anymore? Because a month ago, I really wanted this. And if you really start to get serious and inquire, and maybe you have someone helping you and supporting you on this, you begin to understand like, this is actually my fear. Like it's actually, maybe I'm afraid of who I'm going to have to become. I'm afraid of what I'm going to have to give up. I'm afraid of having to have more structure in my life. I'm afraid of having to confront the parts of myself that don't feel worthy. I'm afraid of having to be at a level of intimacy with somebody else that I've never had before. I'm afraid of having to have a really hard conversation with my boss because I feel like I'm not, being paid enough, or whatever it is. And all these fears will drive up. And you can either work in partnership with your fear and be like, I see this pattern now. I see this pattern where I say I really want something, I begin to go after it, and then I quit on myself. And I blame external circumstances, and I have a really good reason for quitting. I see that now. And I'm going to choose into something else. I'm actually going to partnership with my fear. I'm going to work in partnership with my fear, I should say. I'm going to take my fear and I'm going to say, okay, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, right. And maybe it's not this rational, really good reason that I have for quitting. Maybe I'm actually just afraid of the heartbreak to go after something that I might not know if I can achieve. In fact, I have no idea if I can achieve it. And that's heartbreaking. That longing to want something in your life that you don't have now. And the crucible of going after it and what it's going to require of you and who you're going to have to become. Maybe that's what I'm afraid of. And maybe this rational, really good reason, sensible idea for giving up on myself, maybe it's actually protecting me and keeping me the same. And if I'm noticing this pattern again and again across my life in different areas, because how we are showing up in one area is oftentimes how we're kind of related to everywhere else in our life, then we can start to get really curious. Be like, well, what if I was committed beyond how I feel in this moment? What if I was committed beyond what feels rational right now? What if I was committed beyond my story? What would that look like? What would it look like to operate in the face of fear? What would it look like if I held the belief and the truth that I'm always going to feel afraid when I'm creating a life that I've never created before, when I'm doing something I've never done before? What if I hold it with that level of reverence of like, I'm actually honoring my fear, where I'm like, wow, Thank God I feel fear. That means I'm expanding. That means I'm at my edge. That means I'm doing new things that I've never done before. And it actually feels really fucking good to expand this way. Because 90% of you, 99% of you, the first out that you get, the first exit you get to give up on yourself, you take it. And it's never your fault. It's always something else or someone else or the circumstances that make you quit. But the only person you're quitting on is yourself and your dreams and your desires. And in those moments where you feel that crystal clarity, when you're like, fuck, this is what I really want to create in my life, that is probably much more true than your rational head decisions. Like what you feel in your heart, the things that you long for, the things that you want so deeply, that is much, much more true than your fucking rational mind. Because if your rational mind got you everything you wanted in life, you would already have it because you're operating there 99% of the time anyway. Okay? So, fear is not meant to be overcome. It's not meant to be ignored. It's also not meant to be reacted to. It's meant to be partnered with, to be understood, to be metabolized, and then used as fuel. That means you're moving in the right direction, not the wrong one. Have a great fucking day.